Okay. Hey, everybody. Happy Monday. Happy Valentine's Day. I'm not going to lie. I went and did a shirt change because I was like, man, I don't look real festive. I need some color. Because I'd forgotten it was Valentine's Day a little bit for a minute. I know. I see everybody all ready and festive and beautiful. I love it so much. All right. So today, I'm really excited because we're going to be talking about storytelling. So you are going to spend the next half an hour with myself and Caitlin, and we hope that you are able to learn a lot from today. But this is kind of one of those topics that we just scratched the surface, right? You can go way more in depth, but we wanted to just give you the gist. We wanted you to just feel a little bit empowered. Knowledge is power, and you're going to feel way more confident when you feel like you're equipped with how to do the what, right? And so that's what we're going to do today. Okay. So let's jump into it. Let's talk about storytelling. And it goes way beyond just sharing our Thrive experience. However, that's where it starts. So when we talk about storytelling, it's really important to incorporates not quite the right word, but storytelling in itself is just vital to sales. Okay. It's just vital because storytelling, let me tell you a few of the key facts when it comes to storytelling with sales. Okay. People make emotional decisions when it comes to sales. When you tell a story, you're creating an emotional connection with that consumer that is going to kickstart that emotional buying decision snowball effect. Okay. So number one, when we're telling a story, it's because we are intentionally creating that emotional connection. Okay. Number two, stories are going to grab their attention. It's going to grab their interest, and it's going to allow them to make sense of all the things that we're sharing. So for instance, if we are just sharing facts, that is marketing material. Okay. People know that. It's an advertisement. If you're just sharing facts about a product, but you're not showing them how you're incorporating it into your daily life, it's not going to have the impact on them that it might have on you because they have not experienced it yet. They don't really understand. So they're seeing facts. That's all they're seeing. So when you're sharing your story and how you using the product and the facts as far as how it's helping you, when you're incorporating that into a story, you're enabling them to make sense of all those little things that you're sharing that are full of facts because it's going to hit them on a deeper level. Okay. Storytelling, stories are memorable. Okay. So I'm that person that you can tell me facts all day long. I may or may not remember any of it. I may not, honestly. If I'm being honest, I'm actually 100% sure I'm not going to really remember much of any of it. It's not going to stick. But if you tell me a good story, it's going to stick. Maybe not all of it, but the important pieces are going to stick because a story, it draws people in, it creates that emotion, and people remember the way they feel. You know that saying, like, people remember the way you make them feel? Guess what? Yes, that applies to the way we treat people, but it also applies to sharing a story. When we're sharing a story, it evokes emotion in people. And that is what is going to make the story stick because they felt something. They're not going to feel something from just marketing facts. Okay. Another thing is when you are sharing a story, it increases your likability. We all know how important that know, like, and trust factor is. Well, when you're sharing a story, especially if you're being vulnerable, you're inviting people in to get to know you a little bit better. And when they feel like they know you and they know something intimate that's happened to you, or they know a vulnerable part of your experience, which is basically your story, they are going to like you a little more because they can relate. They're going to feel like they know you a little bit more, and thus in turn should bring on that trust factor for you. Okay. And then also, storytelling is vital for sales because customers make buying decisions based not on what we say, but what they hear. Okay. You hear it all the time. We talk about how important our words are, how important that verbiage is. Sometimes things that we say are just as important as things that we don't say. And we're going to get into that. But just know that that's a really good quote to write down if you just kind of need that reminder when you're sharing with people. And then finally, people buy solutions to their problems, and storytelling helps our consumer see themselves in the scenario that you are giving them. So when you're sharing your story about about your Thrive Day and how you were feeling and what was going on around you, that customer or that potential person can get a bit, they kind of feel like they're with you in the moment, right? Well, guess what? That's a problem. More than likely, you started thriving because it was a solution to your problem. Okay. It's the same problem other people have. And you're showing them how Thrive was a solution. And then you're also showing them how by using Thrive, your outcome was positive or you had an improvement. Right. And so that's ultimately what people want. They want to know the end result if they use this product to their problem, right? And that's what storytelling allows you to do. Okay, so we start by sharing our story. That's the basis, that's the foundation of what we do. When we're telling a story, we're sharing it, right? We're not telling the story, we're sharing our story. That's what we do. It totally pivots how we're approaching sales. Nobody wants to be icky salespeople, but we don't mind sharing our story because we know it's going to help people. Are we still in sales? Absolutely. Are we proud of it? Absolutely. Hallelujah. Amen. Okay. However, if you hesitate and you're not confident about your story, you need to start there. Okay. You have to start there because you have to be confident in your story because you know by sharing it, you're going to help other people. Then we're going to roll into sharing the stories of others. And we're going to do this because we know that they may not relate to our story, but they may be able to relate and see themselves in someone else's story. So how are we going to do this? I'm going to turn it over to Caitlin, and she's going to kick off how we share our story.
Thank you. Okay. How we have a really simple guideline for how. It's just really important. Your motivation behind it. I want, you have to be honest and genuine in all of your storytelling process. I will not share any part of Thrive that I haven't felt myself. And I honestly love about it. So when I share my story, whether I'm writing it down, sharing it on Facebook or in person with somebody, I set the scene. I am a toddler mom. We are a military family. We've moved around a lot. I was coming home from being overseas. I set the scene for why I needed Thrive in the first place so you can see how much it has helped me. So I set the scene quickly, just a few sentences. And then I go into day one. So how I honestly felt day one. And for a lot of people, you feel it. And a lot of people, you don't. Everybody's going to be different. So honestly, how was it for you? So for me, I honestly felt it day one. And I was cleaning my whole house. And I tell everybody exactly how I felt day one. Day three, starting to sleep better. And that's different for everybody. A lot of us have some of the same key points, but just honestly, how was it for you? Day three, and then day 10. And then I wrap up with how it's been since. And for me, it just gets better and better. And I notice new things every day. And sometimes that part of my story changes. Sometimes what is really working for me with Thrive, that in the now, that changes a little bit. And it will change kind of depending on who I'm talking to sometimes. But the basis for it is a very simple set the scene, day 1, day 3, day 10, and then a little bit of now. I will throw in the business side, again, depending on who I'm talking to. So sometimes I am solely talking about how I am feeling with the products. And then sometimes I throw in what the business side has done for me, because that has been a massive blessing for me too. And that's a big part of my Thrive story. Your energy is key. I generally will only tell my story. I'll only go live or whatever it is if I am feeling it, if I am loving my Thrive, and I know I'm going to have the energy to get across how great I really think this all is. I have one time gone live when I was not in the mood. I was stressed out. I was down and I was so upset with myself. I went back and watched it and I was like, that does not show what Thrive is and how it makes me feel on a daily basis. I had a moment and I wasn't so great in that moment and I just shouldn't have done it. So make sure that you have the energy and the excitement so you can share. Like my normal is excited and I'm loving my Thrive. That's my normal. That's when you should go and tell your story. So when you need to keep it simple. So try to keep it short. I'll try to do a 3 to 5 minute story unless I have the time and I have that person engaged. But you want to pick some hooks. You want to pick some pack-a-punch details that you are really, really passionate about. So that could involve your pillars. So for me, I'm always going to mention that I have a little girl. I'm always going to mention that we're a military family, so we move around a lot. So that gives you context to my lifestyle. I'm always going to bring up just those pack-a-punch details because I could go on and on and on and on with all the things that Thrive has helped me with, and we all could. It's from my head to my toes. Thrive has helped me in some way, but I'm not going to vomit that on everybody every time I go to share my story. So pick your details, pick your hooks. I pretty much always say that I used to dread my daughter crying in the morning and knowing that I was about to have to go through a whole nother long day, and Thrive helped me be excited to hear her wake up in the morning. And that's one of my like pack-a-punch details, because I truly would want to cry myself when I heard her cry in the morning. And now I don't. So that's one of mine that I always mention. So yeah, Courtney, I'm going to pass it back to you for where that's our how. It's very simple. And that's the point. Just keep it short and simple, pack a punch where you can.
I love it. So what I really loved, I just have to jump back real quick. Caitlin shared that she went back and watched her live and she could see where she wanted to basically improve on her next one. I encourage you guys to do that. If doing anything, don't be scared. It's hard. We all hate the sound of our own voice sometimes, but we learn the most sometimes from ourselves. And so I just really wanted to reiterate that because I thought it was great that she did that. And excitement is contagious. So when she says your energy matters, have you guys ever seen the TikToks or videos and you end up laughing at the person doing the video that's laughing more than the actual video? I am someone that laughs at people laughing, right? Like some people just have the best contagious laughs ever. Smiles are also contagious. If someone is looking at you and they're smiling, you're going to smile back. You couldn't help it. Even if you're thinking, why are they smiling at me? You're going to still smile back. And so just remember that. And that's how you want to put yourself out there. And when you're talking to people, they can hear you on the phone. If they can hear you smiling when you're sharing a certain part of your story. So, just go for it. One of the key things that I will touch on is being sure not to make medical claims. And you can go to the team page and do a search in the menu that says medical claims, and it will show you what's considered a medical claim, like things to say and not say. So I would definitely say something like, instead of saying, oh my gosh, it's helped me with my migraines, we don't want to say that because that's a medical claim, any kind of medical diagnosis. So what we would say is, I have found relief from my really bad headaches, right? So I love it. Okay, so let's jump into where we share our story. Oh yeah, Caitlin, I'm sorry, go ahead.
All right, I just wanted to add, I have 2 sets of notes and I went back to my first set of notes. With your how, for me, before I really started sharing, what helped was writing it down and picking out those details. It's okay to write it down. It's okay to have a few notes, as long as you're speaking from the heart and not going straight off those notes every time. It was really helpful for me in the beginning when I was learning how to do it all, to write down my notes. And so I encourage you to do that.
I love that so much. All right, so let's talk about where we're going to share. So we'll jump into social media first, okay? We can share on our timeline via posts that we're making. Whatever platform you're on, you can share. And what that would look like is anything from a short post that it might just be a selfie with me and one of my kids, but my DFT is showing. And I might do something a little bit more attraction marketing like that is just, man, we've had a busy day, but it's been a good one, right? But I'm going to make sure that my DFT is where I can see it. And, it's definitely being seen in my picture, right? Or I can make a more straightforward post that is a little bit longer, that I post in the evenings when mamas are settling down and scrolling after they put their kids to bed. And it might say something like, this has been a great weekend. I've never been so thankful for my 3 steps because, before I would have felt like XYZ. It could have been like, oh, before there's no way I could have made it through this weekend without feeling like I was going to lose my mind, being exhausted, barely keeping up with my kids, being snappy and cranky because I was irritable. To fast forward, thanks to my Thrive experience, I'm not that mama. I'm the happy mama keeping up with my kids. I have that all day patience, just something like that. Show them where I used to be and then where I'm at because of Thrive. So you have 2 options. And then I'm also going to be sharing on my stories. So in my stories, if you're not familiar with that on Facebook and Instagram, get familiar with it because people like that behind the scenes feeling. Anybody can make a picture perfect post. Okay. We're used to that. We're used to knowing that you get the highlight reel. Okay. But in your stories, they get behind the scenes. They want to know what you're eating for breakfast. What are you doing with your kids? What does your messy house look like? You do laundry just like them. All those things. Maybe, you had a chaotic day, share that, but always remember to put a positive spin on it. We never want to be negative Nancy's. Nobody likes Nancy like that. Okay. So don't be a positive Polly. And even if you have a bad day, show how you turned it around. And all those things like that.
Awesome. Okay. So another where is lives. I love going live. I mentioned this earlier, but when I am loving to get just to get other stories out. I think it's really important when you're going live to
So another thing is thing is just talking all kinds of stuff to me. Another thing is our Le-Vel fan page. If you have not gone and liked the Le-Vel fan page on Facebook, do so. Okay. This is what it looks like when you pull it up. This is the profile picture. You'll see it. Le-Vel Brands. Make sure that you're liking that fan page. So if you've never submitted your story, your Thrive experience, where you typed it up and submitted it to the fan page, I want to encourage you to do that. You do day 1, day 3, day 10, keep it short and sweet, or just anything that you really want to share that will help someone else. Do it. Send it into the fan page. Let it get submitted. But in the meantime, you can share other people's stories from the fan page. Now you can copy and paste them to your own wall or timeline. This is a tool that you guys can use. Okay. You can just hit the share button. Or you can, instead of just sharing it to your timeline, you can share it in a message. You can literally share it as a messenger message or even a text message, and you can send it to a specific person. For instance, I can go and pull up Caitlin's story on the fan page, and it might make me think of one of my new mom friends who was also a young military wife who was just complaining about how she felt so tired and so worn out because her husband was deployed and she felt like she was overwhelmed and couldn't keep up with everything. And her toddler was driving her bananas. Okay. I'm going to share Caitlin's story to her directly. And I'm going to say, hey, mama, I hope you're having a great day today. I couldn't help but think of you when I saw my friend Caitlin's story. You should check it out. That's all I'm gonna say. And if she messages me back, great. If she doesn't, a great follow-up to that would be, hey, did you get a chance to read that story yet? Didn't it remind you of our conversation? Right? Like you want to just put a little context with it, but you don't want to go overboard and be like, did you read it? Do you want to buy my stuff? Like you don't, we don't do that. But it's just in allowing them to see themselves in that person.
So another tool, I love all of the tools that we have built in for us, ready to go. Another one is our experience calls. So every Monday evening, the flyer is out now for tonight's. That is our experience call. If you are asked to be a part of one, do it. You have to do it. They asked me, I feel like a couple weeks in, and I was nervous as all get out. I didn't know how to share my story. I didn't know what in the world I was doing, but I'm so thankful I did, because on the Thrive Experience call, you're not showing your face. So it took that initial scary away from me. And it's a quick little story. It's a quick 3-minute long summary of how you're feeling. You get to use that recording to share with all of your people. It's a great tool to use. And I encourage you to always say yes. Say yes the third, fourth, and fifth time too. Do it as many times as you are asked. I think it's a great tool to do. And it's not intimidating at all. Nobody can see your face. I did it. Every time I did it in the beginning, I was in my mom's bathroom because we were living with her at the time. I sat down crisscross applesauce on the floor with my phone because that was the quietest room I could be in.
That's awesome. Crisscross applesauce. Okay. The mama of the group. What about virtual locals? Have you done virtual one, Caitlin?
I have, and that was great. That was when we first moved to San Diego. I was like, guys, I don't really know anybody here, but I still wanted to do something. And so that was another way that you can use our web. So the virtual local is going to be, we got 4 or 5 speakers together. We set a time that worked for all the time zones, and had a flyer, sent it out to everyone. And just like you'd have everyone show up at a restaurant or somewhere to meet up, we just did it online. And we all, I had 2 of my neighbors come that night, and now they are both thriving. And so it worked. But it was, that's another way. I think that when I first moved here, I was nervous to invite people over because I just didn't know anybody. So doing the virtual local was just better than not doing anything at all. It was at least do something, and we did, and it worked. I have most people that spoke on that virtual local on my team, at least got at least one person driving with them. So
I love it. So yeah, virtual was great. When COVID hit, I think that was like a lifeline for everyone. But now that we're getting out of like the pandemic season, hopefully, face to face is where it's at. And so I'm going to super stress that. When I first started my Thrive Experience, we had just moved across the country. We moved to El Paso, Texas, where the predominant language was Spanish, in which I do not speak. And I did not let that hold me back one bit. I'd never been to a local. They had no locals within hours and hours of me. I would say the closest local I found was probably 12 to 14 hours away. Okay. So there was really no chance of that. So what I did is I said, well, I see other people doing it. I can do it too. And so I'll hold a local. And then my first thought was not, well, I don't know anyone here. Who would I invite? My first thought was, what a great opportunity to meet my neighbors. Right. And so I invited people. I didn't know them, but it's okay. We became friends. I invited them over, and I ended up having a couple of my upline leaders. I kind of Skyped them in or videoed them in. I shared my story. They kind of shared theirs. And the more I did it, the better it got. The more I did it, the easier I got. And the more I did it, the more people would come, because then they could bring a friend, they can tell someone. So don't fear the things that you have not done. Embrace them, because those are the things that will end up changing your business. Those are those face-to-face interactions and those stories. They can't be beat. All the calls and everything that we're talking about is great, but sharing your story face to face, that is going to be such a game changer in your business overall. That is going to take every little thing, tied in a bow, and launch your business. Emotional connection, check. Multiple stories and third-party validation, check. New friends along the process, check. No like and trust factor because they're literally at your house right now, check. Okay, they know you're a real person, they get it, they're seeing that transformation. And so I am a big supporter of face-to-face locals. You muted.
Sorry. One of the reasons why we did our virtual, because I agree, face-to-face is just awesome. It's where it's at. We were trying to fit in some of my team members in all different time zones. And so it just happened to be what worked for us. So there is just an option if you need it. So a lot of times your story will come up when somebody is asking you a question in person and you're on the spot and sometimes you don't know what to say. So if you have a question, a common question that you get, you're welcome to drop it in the chat. But Courtney,
yes,
what happens when you're at the grocery store and somebody sees your patch? Hey, is that a smoker's patch? Or what is that sticker on your arm?
I would be like, oh my gosh, this one? Oh, my Thrive. So I'm just going to tell you guys, this depends on the situation. Like if I have kids with me, I'm going to be like, oh my gosh, this is my Happy Patch. This is how all these kids are still alive, you know? Or if I'm by myself, I'm going to be like, oh, that's how I get my vitamins. Like it might depend on who I'm talking to and what I think that they might be looking for, but I'm like, oh my gosh, that's how I get my vitamins. You know, I'm able to keep up with 5 kids during the day, get all the things done that I need to get done, and it keeps me in a really great mood. Have you ever heard of it? And then at that point, I would carry that conversation forward. But I'm just going to give you a couple of the most popular things. So other than, of course, it's my vitamins or my Happy Patch, this is how I stay sane. This is how, you know, I'm keeping up with my kids. This is how I make it through my day. This is why I don't need coffee anymore is a really good one too.
Yeah. I normally say, this is how I get through my day. This is how I keep up with my tiny tot. So those are all great, just openers. You need just an opener. What not to say would be, too much. You don't want to vomit on Thrive on them just asking about a sticker on your arm. I had an older gentleman ask me, I was wearing, well, I think I still have it on, the breast cancer awareness. I had that patch on. And I think his wife was, I think she was going through treatment. Anyways, so with him, I wasn't going to throw up Thrive all over him, but I did tell him it was my vitamins and it helped me with my energy. But you don't want to go, I wouldn't say, this is my Dermafusion Technology sticker from the company Lavelle that has white willow bark, and I wouldn't go through the ingredient list with them. I would just have an opener. So what not to say would be just too much. Just open it up, open the door. So next we were talking about looking for your opening just in a conversation.
So an example of that would be, let's say someone makes a comment to you of, man, I don't know how you do it. And you're like, oh, thanks. Oh yeah, they keep me busy. These kids of mine, they keep me busy. A lot of people, that's what you say, but now that you're a Thriver and you're wanting to share, don't stop there. So what would be a really good thing for you to say, Caitlin, if somebody was like, oh my gosh, girl, I don't know how you do it with this toddler running all around?
Oh, that's my Thrive. Because I'm thriving. It's simple. That's the answer always. It's my Thrive. That's how I do it.
And you don't have to have a call to action all the time if you're setting up that connection. So Caitlin, kind of just touch on that transition to connection there.
Yeah. So when someone asks, generally for me, it's at the park. It's always at the park. I'm always at the park with my baby. And I wear my sticker out loud and proud all the time. And I will always leave with whoever is asking about it with their Facebook at least, or phone number, or email. It depends if I know if I'm going to see this person again soon or not. But you always have to make the connection, because this is awesome that you've opened up the door and they've asked you and you've given them a little bit of information, but it all means nothing if you haven't made the connection, if you haven't in some way gotten their contact information. You have to have the way to keep the conversation going. So if I've met somebody once at the park, we're most definitely having a play date at some point down the road, because we're texting about how fun or how much fun our kids had. And we keep the door open that way. So connection is key. Never let those situations pass you by.
Yep. And I'm real nonchalant. I'm like, what's your email? I'll shoot you over some more info. Yeah, we'll touch base later, because I'm busy, right? I'm always busy, and people like busy people because they can relate to that. So I'm like, yeah, just shoot me your email real quick. Here, I'll shoot, I'll text you. What's your number? Or, that way I'll send them my name and like, hey, what's your number? I always try to get their number to send them mine, instead of the other way around, because they might forget. So we don't want them to do that. I love that. And then what not to say.
Yeah. So, okay, the door's open or somebody's asked you or whatever. I had a friend one time tell me that she's thriving, she loves it, but somebody asked her why she had so much energy. And she said, oh, I don't know. Guys, I was like, you're kidding me. You're joking. So yeah, what not to say is nada. You got to say something. The door is open for you. If somebody is asking about how you do it, how you have so much energy, what's your secret, go ahead and tell them and be confident about it, because we know we love this.
I love it. Okay, so your golden tip from that whole thing is just answer the question. Mm-hmm. Just answer the question. No more, no less. Just answer the question, make a connection, and do the behind the scenes work later. So just to kind of wrap up, you definitely want to make sure that you get that connection point to continue the conversation. You want to keep your Thrive experience simple. You don't want to make any medical claims. Your excitement is contagious. And get a great hook and get your key points down. So, and share often, because the more you share, the easier it gets, and the more you can kind of craft your story to exactly, you can kind of shorten it up to your key points a little bit easier. So thank you guys so much, Caitlin. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Happy Valentine's Day, everybody. I encourage you today, if you're, well, you wouldn't be here if you weren't loving your Thrive life. If you are loving how you're feeling, go share it. What better day to talk about how much you're loving your life than our love day? So that's my challenge to you today. And happy Valentine's Day. We're about to go picnic on the beach.
Happy Valentine's Day, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. See you later. See you next week. Bye, Starla.
Thank you, ladies.